You're listening to the Sports Circus, and I'm Mike Golick.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by uppercutchops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA, prime, Angus, and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, the king of all those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes, as well as those massive half-pound Wagyu burgers. Best I've ever had. Probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at uppercutchops.com. That's uppercutchops.com. Or give them a call, find out what's for dinner. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100 for uppercutchops.com. Yes! All right, welcome in to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. Everybody also on our independents. Thanks for joining us on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, WOW, Charter, and independent cable television affiliates, plus Hotel TV, where applicable, and Chicago food favorites on Facebook. And by the way, folks, right from the very top, our friends over at Vacation Buddies have a couple of nights in Las Vegas, Branson, Missouri, or Orlando, Florida for you if you can answer this simple trivia question. Which NBA superstar has won 6 NBA titles? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Shaquille O'Neal, C, Kobe Bryant, or D, Michael Jordan? Call 888-576-5777. 888-576-5777. 888-576-5777. If you know the answer to that simple trivia question, which NBA superstar has won 6 NBA titles? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Shaquille O'Neal, C, Kobe Bryant, or D, Michael Jordan? 888-576-5777. Contact Vacation Buddies right now. And remember, they are not a part of this radio station, but they want to give you a couple of nights in Vegas, Branson, Missouri, or Orlando, Florida. Go ahead and give them a call right now, 888-576-5777. All right, let's get into it, folks. Let's think about the idea of women in sports. And now, let's think about controversy. Now, let's think about gymnastics and USA Gymnastics and what they are doing these days. So, this one's kind of interesting because this one really affects a lot of people. At least it doesn't affect them, I wouldn't say physically, but I think psychologically it does. And a lot of people have a very, very particular position about this. But how about this one? This one's out of Fox News. USA Gymnastics transgender policy pages, those actual pages are offline as the old Riley Gaines and Simone Biles feud seems to be the main culprit for it. And of course, other Team USA sports governing bodies have made changes or indicated future changes to their policies as well. So, USA Gymnastics appeared to delete its transgender eligibility policy on its website. And when the pages were officially taken offline, who knows? But the organization has come under some heavy public scrutiny since, of course, good old Olympic gold medalist Simone Biles ignited a feud with former NCAA swimmer and conservative activist Riley Gaines on social media over the issue of trans athlete inclusions. Now, previous links, of course, to 3 of the organization's pages outlining its transgender eligibility policies are currently offline. So, one link previously led to a November 2020 announcement that the organization no longer required trans athletes to undergo sexual reassignment. Oh, yeah, let's just dress up like this and let's compete as that. I guess that's what the message was. Who the heck knows? That's just my opinion. I have no idea, but let's carry on here. And so, yeah, they no longer required those to undergo those reassignments. And of course, legal gender recognition and hormone therapy in order to compete in the gender category of their choosing, as seen in an archive by the Wayback Machine. Of course, that's capital W and capital M if you want to search that. Now, of course, that page still holds up and shows up, but the link now goes to a 404 error page. That's interesting. Now, another link previously went to a 3-page PDF pamphlet of USA Gymnastics guidelines for transgender and non-binary athletes, as seen in a Wayback Machine archive. Now, that link is now inaccessible, but is still a top result on search engines. The plot thickens. Another link previously went to a 9-page PDF USA Gymnastics pamphlet titled, quote, Transgender Athletes Inclusions Resources Supporting Transgender and Non-Binary Athletes, close quote, as seen, of course, in a Wayback Machine archive. And that link is no longer available as well, or nevertheless, it is no longer accessible. So the official USA Gymnastics website governance documents page featured the Transgender and Non-Binary Guidelines and Resources page as recently as just a few months ago, as seen in a, you guessed it, Wayback Machine archive. But now those links are absent from the governance document page. So the Wayback Machine is unable to pinpoint exactly when a web page was deleted or changed. Now, of course, Fox News Digital has reached out to USA Gymnastics for comment. Still nothing. So the feud between Biles and Gaines have become one of the most viral topics on social media in the last several, we'll just say the last several days and weeks, who knows. Anyway, dominating, of course, top trending sections on social media while prompting heated debates and controversial media coverage of the issue itself. Now, Gaines said in a social media video that multiple Team USA athletes have reached out to her to say she agrees with their stance in allowing males in women's sports. So let's read that again, in case you didn't hear it right. Gaines said in a social media video that multiple Team USA athletes have reached out to her to say she agrees with her stance against allowing males in women's sports. So the feud started back when Simone Biles took issue when Gaines calling out a Minnesota high school softball team who won a state championship with a transgender pitcher. Come on, man. That's right. We'll let those go. And of course, that pitcher's softball team won a state championship, which I got to tell you, folks, that's not right. It's just cheating. Anyway, so Marissa Rothenberger, a transgender athlete, threw a shutout to help Champlain Park High School win a state championship. That sounds robotic because that's how I feel about the whole situation. I'm only doing it. I'm only reading it because I have to. I'm not putting emotion into it because I have a definite opinion on this. Nonetheless, Gaines, the host of Outkick's Gaines for Girls, that podcast, noted that the comments on social media were turned off on the Minnesota State High School League's post with a photo of the team on social media. And Gaines wrote, quote, to be expected when your star player is a boy, close quote. Yeah, and that's not a boo against Gaines. That's a boo against the idea of a star player being a boy in the girls' sport. So, of course, Simone Biles responded, calling Gaines, quote, truly sick, close quote, for her comment and saying Gaines should be, quote, uplifting, close quote, transgender athletes. Yeah, you heard that right. Gaines should be uplifting transgender athletes. Biles sent a second post on social media telling Gaines to, quote, bully someone your own size, which would ironically be a male, close quote. All right, so now it's Simone Biles is throwing daggers at Gaines. Now that in itself is complete and utter lunacy. This should never occur. Never, ever occur. Riley Gaines, hey, look, so she's a big, strong girl. So be it. But for Simone Biles to say what she said, that's not cool. That is not cool at all. And frankly, it's a very, very poor taste by Simone Biles, in my opinion, of course. So thinking about this whole Wayback Machine thing, maybe they got rid of some things, maybe they didn't. But the idea of Simone Biles to say, bully someone your own size, which ironically would be a male, what is that implying? Biles, of course, has been subject to widespread criticism by conservatives and women's sports rights activists alike. And frankly, I don't blame them. And even President Donald Trump's son, Don Jr., even joined in on the criticism with a pair of his own social media posts saying, if Larry Nassar came out as Linda Nassar, would Simone Biles want him to move to a woman's prison? All right. And also, even USA Today says, well, we'll just leave that one alone. Nonetheless, there was yet another comment that it just keeps going on and on. It's just a jousting match. I mean, other major teams from Team USA, governing bodies have quietly amended their transgender policies amid rising opposition to trans inclusion in women's and girls sports. USA Track and Field official transgender eligibility policy now referenced the World Athletes Guidelines on its official page. And of course, that same USA TNF previously referenced the International Olympic Committee's policy as seen in an archive of the Wayback Machine. Back here in just a few minutes here on the Sports Circus with the same story. Don't go anywhere. I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. B-E-E-P-I-N autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
If you'd like to borrow up to $100,000 and get pre-approved in minutes, call the number we'll give you at the end of this commercial. Our lending partners have already loaned millions of dollars to individuals just like you, and we're ready to lend you up to $100,000 if you qualify. Even if your credit is not perfect, you could use the money to pay off high-interest credit cards, for home renovations, or consolidate existing debt. You can get flexible, easy-to-pay terms. The consultation to find out if you qualify is free. To find out if you qualify for our special financing program, call this toll-free number 24 hours a day. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. That's 800-335-1376. Important terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Loan amount, annual percentage rate, and term will vary depending on creditworthiness. Applying does not guarantee approval. Account approval is subject to verification and confirmation of your credit history and acceptance by a lender. If you choose to apply for a loan through us, a consumer report will be obtained to evaluate your creditworthiness in connection with your application for credit.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UppercutChops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at UppercutChops.com.
Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by your friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. Folks, make sure you check them out. Oh, you know, they've been with us since the very beginning. We always want to give them the super applause. And a big welcome back to everybody listening in on all of our affiliates, including our friends over in Atlanta, WDJY 99.1 FM. Thanks for waking up with us. Over in Auburn, Alabama, thanks for joining us on your drive home on 1230 on the AM dial, WAUD, home of the Atlanta Braves. Plus our friends throughout the heartland, all the way out to the West Coast. Everybody driving between Las Vegas and Los Angeles, the LA Basin. Thanks for joining us on Highway Country Radio, 101.5 FM and 107.3 FM up and down the West Coast from Los Angeles up to Seattle, even to Anchorage, Alaska, over to Honolulu. CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the Yankees, 49ers, and Alabama Crimson Tide. And a big welcome back to everybody at Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, WOW, Charter, and independent cable television affiliates, as well as everybody on Hotel TV where applicable. And folks, by the way, in case you're just tuning in, we want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to get their shot at a couple of free nights over in Las Vegas, Branson, Missouri, or Orlando, Florida. The trivia question that you have to answer is, which NBA star has 6 NBA titles, 6 championships? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Shaquille O'Neal, C, Kobe Bryant, or D, Michael Jordan? If you know the answer, call right now, 888-576-5777. That's 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies wants to give you 2 free nights in Las Vegas, Branson, Missouri, or Orlando, Florida. That's 888-576-5777. Call them right now. Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but they sure want to give you a couple of free nights in Las Vegas, Branson, Missouri, or Orlando, Florida. 888-576-5777. Call them right now, folks. All right, picking back up with this story, with this USA Gymnastics transgender policy pages offline, Riley Gaines, Simone Biles nonsense, this big feud just keeps going on and on and on. And so where I left off in the last segment was other major Team USA sport governing bodies have quietly amended their transgender policies amid rising opposition to trans inclusion in women's and girls' sports. USA Track and Field official transgender eligibility policy now references the World Athletics guidelines on its official website. Now, also, they previously referenced an International Olympic Committee, the IOC's policy, as seen in an archive via, guess what, the old Wayback Machine, which we mentioned all last segment. And so even the IOC allows biological males to compete in the women's category, while the World Athletic bans any athlete who has undergone male puberty from competing as a woman. Now, USA Fencing announced in April that it is preparing to change its gender eligibility policy after a viral protest by women's fencer Stephanie Turner sparked mass backlash and federal intervention by protesting a trans opponent. In fact, the organization said it was preparing to amend its current policies that allow biological males to compete with women and girls in the event that is forced to change it. That's right. And here's a nice quote here from that announcement. Quote, in the event that USA Fencing is forced to change its current stance in accordance with oversight bodies or federal legislation, the new policy states the athletes competing in USA Fencing sanctioned tournaments must compete according to their biological sex. Close quote. All right. There's something positive there as I see it. But then again, that's just one guy's opinion, right? So it's just my opinion, and that's my entitlement. So be it. So the proposed updated policy ensures that women's categories, quote, will be open exclusively to athletes of the female sex, close quote. Now, of course, the men's category, quote, will be open to all other athletes who are otherwise eligible for competition, close quote. So Trump signed an executive order months ago to ban trans athletes from women's and girls' sports, as a majority of Americans proved to oppose biological males being allowed to compete and share locker rooms with females. In fact, a New York Times survey found that the vast majority of Americans, including majority of Democrats, don't think transgender athletes should be permitted to compete in women's sports. And of course, of the 2,128 people who participated, 79% said biological males who identify as women should not be allowed to participate in women's sports. Of the 1,025 people who identified as Democrats or leaning Democratic, 67% said transgender athletes should not be allowed to compete with women. All right. That's something I can get on board with. So when we think about this, we go past this whole ongoing nonsensical discussion, and we ask ourselves, what is the main reason behind it? Well, I'll tell you what, folks, in case you don't know, first and foremost, the boy and the man is 40% stronger physically than the woman or the girl. And you ask yourself, well, wait a minute. If that is the case, then why are they allowed to participate in this nonsensical situation? Well, here is a fun, handy-dandy little video. It's about 4 minutes, so you're going to like this one. This one's going to take us all the way out to break. And this one deals directly with that, courtesy of Fox News. Listen to this one, folks.
Parents in Minnesota are furious as a softball team with a biological male player is headed to the high school state championship today after back-to-back wins this week. Host of the Games for Girls podcast on Outkick.com, Riley Gaines joins me now. Riley, good morning to you. So the softball player's coach praised her, saying she's always clutch. I think she's the best center fielder in the state. She's just a great all-around player. But as we mentioned, players and parents impacted by this are outraged by it. So here we go again.
Yeah, that's right. Of course they're outraged. They should be outraged. I cannot believe, Carly, that this is still happening. And it's not just happening in Minnesota. Over the past 7 days, we have seen this happen in 5 blue states where boys have taken girls' state championship spots, state qualifying spots, or their spots on the podium. Minnesota, California, Washington, Oregon, Maine, the list goes on. Cannot believe this is still happening. And reminder, in Minnesota just a few months ago, I was there on the House floor as every single Minnesota House Democrat and senator, Democratic senators in the state of Minnesota voted in opposition of protecting women and girls in sports. This is tragic. It breaks my heart. I am so proud of the girls. There are a handful of girls now who are suing their state's attorney general and the high school sports governing body that has allowed this to happen because of their discriminatory policies that exclude women from the women's category. Cannot believe this is happening.
Yeah, I mean, you're right about that, Riley. Despite all that you've been doing and the Trump administration has been doing to try and combat this, right now, because the state championships are taking place as school years wrap up, we really are seeing that it's still pervasive in this country. And then there's a situation in California where there was this runner who sprayed her shoes with a fire extinguisher, and she got disqualified after she won for unsportsmanlike conduct. But that same governing body allowed a transgender player to compete, and she stood on the medal podium as well.
Can I just say this is exactly why Donald Trump won? Following November 5th, I was certain that the Democrats would start to recant from their voting record, from their previous position that they had taken on this. It wasn't an issue Kamala Harris really campaigned on when she was running for president, but they have not. They have doubled, tripled, quadrupled down on this. People like Governor Walz, Tampon Tim, mind you, who put tampons in the bathroom of 4th grade boys' elementary school classes. This is what the American people wholeheartedly, regardless of political affiliation, reject. So, again, allow them to continue. I guess it is tragic. It has to come at the expense of, again, young girls, of children, of parental rights. But I think we will see, if this does continue in the way that it is, a major red wave again in 2026.
Yeah, and you know what, Riley, it's so funny you say that, because I was reading an Outkick article about the situation in Minnesota with a softball player, and a father of one of the players on the losing team looked out at the team that his daughter was on and said, you're looking at a whole team of future Republicans just because of this issue. And then, of course, young girls across the country have been speaking out against men and women's sports for some time now. There's this high school swimmer who spoke to Fox News Digital after she didn't know this, but she was sharing a locker room with a biological male and also competed against this person several times. Listen to what she says here.
I did not want a biological man all of a sudden coming in and seeing me changing, and that could have happened at any time. And it was something that was really alarming, because I had seen it in my school bathrooms before, but I had never seen it in a locker room environment. I felt very betrayed. I felt betrayed with the adults and the coaches on the other team that let this happen without my consent, without my knowledge.
And, you know, the fact that she saw it in her school bathrooms and felt like that was normal in this day and age is surprising. But what she's really saying is that she feels betrayed by the adults in the room.
It breaks my heart to hear the words, I felt betrayed, again, by the people, Carly, just as you said, who are supposed to be protecting her, whose job it is to protect her. How could anyone listen to that young girl, that beautiful young girl, and say that she is anything other than a hero for defending herself and defending her peers and defending...
And that video is courtesy of Fox News. Boy, that was a really hard-hitting interview. Back here with a few more thoughts on that, moving on in the next segment. Don't go anywhere, lots more to come here on The Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Hello, Americans. It's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time. That's 800-950-2049.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Hey Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Excellent.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for upcoming guests, a prior guest, or recorded shows which can be found on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, iHeart, Stitcher, Deezer, plus many, many others. Also, check out the partners page. Lots of great partners over there. One of those is Al's Number One Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. That's Al's Number One Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. And if you can't make it over there for some great food, check them out at alsbeef.com. That's alsbeef.com. You can read about the origination of the sandwich. Of course, they are the creators of it about 117 years ago. They've been in business since 1938, serving up incredible food. Check them out again at alsbeef.com and tell them the circus sent you. And yes, they always get the super applause because it's one of our favorites. All right, welcome back to everybody at TV Radio. You know who you are. Everybody also on Chicago Food Favorites. Thanks for joining us. That's Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Make sure you check that out. It's a free group, fun group. And post your favorite restaurants, favorite recipes, make some friends, and talk about food. Have some fun with it, folks. And don't spam the page because I am your administrator and I will block you. All right, just don't spam it, but have some fun with it. Folks, we've got over 2,500 members of that group, and there's no money involved. It's just for fun. So have some fun with it, folks. All right. So in that the last two segments, we had some very interesting content, and it was about some things that kind of hit a little bit close to home for some people. They either really support the whole transgender agenda, or some are staunchly against it. Whatever your position is, we had some really nice footage there, courtesy of Fox News, and thanks for them for offering that out to the masses. Of course, anybody can go find that just by doing your search as well. But it was interesting, and it kind of leads into this next issue here. And this has been an ongoing issue within the WNBA. Now, the WNBA, some people say, well, there's this issue and that issue. And people say, well, wait a minute, the WNBA seems to be dominated by the LGBTQ plus whatever community. I don't know what the plus stands for. I don't even know what the rest of the alphabet letters are there for. But it seems as though that there is a large portion of that classification in the league. Now, if you just do a basic search, you'll see it says what percentage of the WNBA is LGBTQ question mark. According to Google, they even say, well, there's no definitive league-wide survey on LGBTQ plus identity within the WNBA. Estimates suggest a higher percentage than in other sports. In a study by Interbasket in 2022, which focused on players who identify as LGBTQ plus, estimated 38% of the league was LGBTQ+. Other reports and articles note that there is currently 37 gay players out of 141, which is roughly 25%. It's important to note that these figures represent players who have publicly identified as LGBTQ+, and the actual percentages could be higher. All right, so my question is, can they, look, you got to ask the question, are they allowed, the players allowed to, those, I guess that classifies that, are they allowed to date one another? And of course, you can do the same search that I can. And I found something that doesn't exclude them from doing so. So now my question goes to, what about gambling and sports? Because, well, it sure seems, I don't know for sure, but when Caitlin Clark came into the league, it seems that the league really was stepped up quite a bit. And for whatever reason, I don't know. Who knows? All I know is she seems to be a catalyst for revenue for the league. Some people really like her. Some people really don't like her. Whatever your position is, I don't really care. I have one of her basketball rookie cards, of course. So I want her to do really, really well. But in any event, she seems like a quality human and a very, very good player. 3-time, I guess, I think she was 3-time player of the year or whatnot at the University of Iowa. I seem to forget. But anyway, my point in all of this is if they're allowed to, technically, if they're allowed to, I'm asking the question, folks, don't shoot the messenger here or don't shoot the guy asking the question. If they are allowed to date one another, how do you keep the professional relationship of player to player? Maybe you're on opposing teams now. How do you keep that from the possibility of game fixing? Who knows? I mean, how does that work? I don't know if anybody's ever brought that up or anybody even had the parts to ask that question. Well, guess what? I'm asking the question. I've never heard anybody ask that question before. Pick your favorite show on your favorite TV station, whatever. I'm asking the question because it would seem to me that the possibility may exist for favoritism between one team or another, or one player because of their interest in another person. Maybe, what if they're guarding one another? I mean, there's where the plot really thickens. And so what if, okay, well, I'm going to let you have this one here. You'll have the first quarter, I'll have the second quarter. Who the heck knows what's going on? I'm just completely spewing off here. And this is just hypothetical, and it's just me asking questions, which I'm allowed to do, just like you, the listener. But I'm asking the question because somebody has to ask the question. Is there the possibility of game fixing or point shaving in the WNBA if this situation actually occurs? And listen, remember, we had Tim Donaghy on this show who went to prison for fixing basketball games in the NBA. And of course, if you listen to that episode as many years ago, he also mentioned a couple of other people, if I'm not mistaken, at least one other, in that interview. So he didn't rat anybody out, but he's like, basically, in my opinion, as I heard it, hey, I wasn't alone in this, but he was the one that went to prison. So my question is it possible for WNBA games to be compromised? Because you could bet on these games and on all your, pick your favorite fantasy sports betting. I'm not going to name them off. I mean, why should I give them free advertising? They're not paying me anything. I guess if they were paying me something, then I'd advertise for them. Show me the money! Well, I guess they're right. But anyway, my point is, what about the fact that everybody seemingly in America, for the most part, can bet now? And so what if two players happen to have some kind of relationship? Has anybody ever asked the question? I don't know. I wonder what the odds makers do about that, or what they say about that, or do they even look into that? And I'm going to have to look into it because it's, frankly, it's the first time I'm just kind of thinking about it, saying, hey, you know what? That could be a thing. So now that's going to prompt me to head down to my local sports book and do an interview. Of course, they're not going to be able to put their names out there, but I will interview 3 or 4 or 5 of the local sports books right here in Las Vegas, and I will ask about that because that's a real thing. And you ask yourself, okay, well, also, let's just go on with that. Let's just say they're dating because they're of that LGBTQ plus community, whatever. Well, how many of those players, how many transgenders have played in the WNBA? Now, this goes all the way back to the 1990s, if I'm not mistaken. There was one that absolutely said that, yes, she played. All right. And so the question is, how many more are playing and are not identifying? That's what I want to know. Because, well, let's face it, if men are 40% stronger, the question is, so Lashia Clarendon, who was the former WNBA player, she was actually the first openly transgender, non-binary player in the league's history. Now, she retired about a year ago. All right, that's quite some time ago. And so you ask yourself, well, why was this allowed to persist? And does it persist in the NCAA women's basketball? You have to ask these questions because why? Men are 40% stronger than women. Boys are 40% stronger than girls. And that's just a mere genetic fact, as I have researched and anybody else can research. So the bigger question is, Well, what is the temperature of the WNBA on this issue? Do they have any rules against it? I don't know. I've never seen them. Somebody please chime in if you have, because I sure as hell haven't. And also, what about the possibility of the players slam dunking? They say, well, there's no slam dunking, for example, because there's jumping ability and whatnot for the WNBA. You could just do a basic search and you'll come up with the same answers that I did. But when Lashia Clarendon was playing, she was born actually May 2nd of 1991. So it wasn't back to the 1990s she was playing. She was playing literally up until about a year ago. The question is, did she ever slam dunk? I don't know. I mean, you have to ask these questions. Because, yes, the WNBA game is a very sound, fundamental basketball game, which actually it's a pleasure to watch that because there's real defense being played and there's real strategy being played, and it's not either a slam dunk or a three-point shot, which seems to be what the NBA is in the first place. But I'm wondering because what is the temperature of the fan base and what is the temperature of the ticket holders? Because recently in a game, since Caitlin Clark was out, they couldn't hardly give tickets away at United Center in Chicago to go see. It was the Chicago game against Indiana. It was the Angel Reese show against the Caitlin Clark show. They were trying to give tickets away at $3 a pop, and they had a hard time doing that. That tells you the influence that Caitlin Clark has on the league. I'm just wondering if they would have higher skilled big players, big post players with slam dunks, would that also drive ticket sales? Back here in a few minutes on The Circus. Going to continue on with the women in just a few moments. Don't go anywhere.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. B-E-E-P-I-N autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
If you served in the Marine Corps, by now you know about the contaminated water problem at Camp Lejeune. If you were stationed or worked at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1987, you probably have a lot of questions. We have some answers. You could be entitled to compensation. Billions of dollars are being allocated to pay for damages to anyone stationed at Camp Lejeune during that time. Unfortunately, it appears that officials may have known the contaminated water problem existed and did little to protect their men. The Semper Fi code was not honored. If you or someone in your family has developed a serious illness, including various forms of cancer, call this Camp Lejeune legal support line right now. You can't turn back the clock and change what happened, but you can certainly call right now and learn your rights as a Marine. Here's the number.
Call 800-335-7196. 800-335-7196. That's 800-335-7196.
All right, break it up. Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP television. Folks, again, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for upcoming guests and prior guests and all of our recorded shows. Also, make your way over to the store tab at thesportscircus.com. Lots of cool items over there, American-made items that are silk screened, they are embroidered, and they are cool, too. So Sports Circus logoed items such as hats, t-shirts, coats, sweatpants, pillows, travel mugs, coffee mugs, mouse pads, you name it, they're all there. Check it out at thesportscircus.com's store. And, of course, that is a shameless plug, of course, for the Sports Circus. And by the way, folks, if you happen to check that out, place an order, you get 10% off just by mentioning yours truly, your ringmaster, Sal. All right, moving on. This has been a show for the ladies and a little bit of controversy here. And let's just continue it just because we can. That's right. All right, and here's good old Corey Goff. Now, you may know Corey Goff as Coco Goff. Now, Corey Goff says Trump's election led to a down period in the U.S. following the French Open victory that she had. And of course, tennis star claims to be, quote, definitely patriotic after becoming first American since Serena Williams to win the French Open. Yeah, well, good for her. I'm just going to leave it like that. In fact, we'll go ahead and offer her a round of applause because we can. Okay, and so you ask, why do we do that? Well, because A, first of all, we're patriotic, and second, we always want to support these United States of America, right? We certainly want to do that, but also we do like tennis. Now, personally, I've never played tennis. I've never played tennis whatsoever. I've played tiny tennis, if you know what I mean, but I've never played tennis on a court. So if you're a much better person than I am, that's for darn sure. However, what I am going to say is good old Corey Dion Goff, but you can call her Coco, became, of course, the first American in decades to lift the trophy after the women's singles final at the French Open. And she was asked what it meant to represent the United States. And after defeating number one, Aryna Sabalenka, in 3 sets to win the French Open, Corey Dion Goff had said, quote, it means a lot. Obviously, there's a lot going on in our country right now. Just to be a representation of that and a representation of the people that look like me in America who maybe don't feel as supported during this time period, being that reflection of hope and light for those people. What the hell is she talking about? Oh, the people that look like me. So she is alienating, well, many, many, many people in this country. By the way, that was a quote via the tennis letter. We want to make sure that we give the tennis letter their respect and their respond time. But I can't believe she said that. So Corey Dion Goff continued by bringing up this past year's presidential election. Yeah, that's the one. That's right. And the response by the country after President Donald J. Trump was elected for his second term. Of course, a lot of people like that. Anyway, she referred to it as a down period in the States. Give me a damn break. And in fact, she even said, quote, I remember after the election and everything, it felt like a down period for a little bit, My mom told me during Riyadh, try to win the tournament just to give people something to smile for. And that's what I was thinking about today. Give me a damn break. Come on, Corey Dion Goff. Where's your patriotism? Give me a break. And so, moving on, despite the quote down period, close quote comment, Corey Dion Goff said she is, quote, definitely patriotic, close quote. Okay. So, and good old Barack Hussein Obama and Michelle Obama. Let's proceed them with those. They, yes, among others, showering Corey Dion Goff with praise after the French Open win. And she had added, quote, some people may feel some type of a way about being patriotic and things like that, but I'm definitely patriotic and I'm proud to be an American. I'm proud to represent Americans that look like me and people who kind of support the things that I support. Close quote. Yeah, folks, you're hearing it. To me, in my opinion, this is about as racist as it gets, in my opinion, Miss Corey Dion Goff. And of course, the 21-year-old dropped to the clay and covered her face at the stadium following a thrilling match against Sabalenka. Goff lost the first set in a tiebreaker, but fought back to win the second set 6-2 and came away with her second Grand Slam after a third set 6-4 finish, blah, 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 blah. And of course, she had said, quote, the crowd really helped me today. You guys were cheering for me so hard, and I don't know what I did to deserve so much love from the French crowd, but I appreciate you guys. Close quote. Well, there are probably women in that crowd too. What about the women? She said, I appreciate you guys. What about you girls? Or what about you gals? I don't know. What about that one? And of course, she was showered with praise by American celebrities, including Barack Hussein Obama, Michelle Obama, and good old Matthew McConaughey. Oh, boy. What a trio of, no thanks. So you want to know why I'm this way about this? I'm going to tell you why. And look, good for Corey Dion Goff. Good for her. And I'm cool with that she wins. And she's a really, really good tennis player, obviously. However, there's an ongoing issue that stems back just a few years ago. And I have a problem with Corey Dion Goff because she actually spoke out against Florida's anti-LGBTQ bill. Now, it's not the LGBTQ part of it. It's what is contained. So I want you to listen. This is according to Sports Illustrated. Mind you, this is a few years ago. So this has been out there. So they say the American Star criticized a bill that would prohibit classroom discussion of sexual orientation and gender identity. And of course, they say Coco Gauff was noted for her opposition to a bill in her home state of Florida that would prohibit classroom discussion of sexual orientation and gender identity. And it's called the Parental Rights in Education Bill. And it's been a point of controversy across the country. And the Republican-backed measure, quote, bars classroom instruction in public schools on sexual orientation or gender identity for children in kindergarten through third grade. That's right, kindergarten through third grade. And she says, quote, I'm against it. What? That's what she told reporters. That's right, ahead of her first match in the Indian Wells tournament in California at that time. And she says, quote, I think these conversations are important. And for me, who has friends in the LGBTQ plus community, I couldn't imagine not being able to talk about your identity. I feel that's something that is normal. Every LGBTQ plus person I've ever known has known that they were a part of the community since they were young. I think it's important that they have those conversations in school because that is supposed to be a safe space to talk about everything, close quote. Now, just wait a second, Corey Dion Goff. You're talking about 5-year-old kids up to 9 years of age. From 5 to 9, their brains are developing. Who in the world is going to support something that leans to influence children when their brains are still developing. What in the world are these people thinking? And I don't give a damn what side of the fence you're on, Republican, Democrat, Independent, whatever. I don't care if you're from Timbuktu or Timbuk3. What the hell is that crap? So you say, why do you have this cynicism with Cori Dion Goff, but you can call her Coco? Well, I have a problem with it because if you are supporting something, I don't give a damn when it happened. You supported it. And it was written up in every major publication. You can find it. Do a quick search on this. I'm not making this up. This was even from Sports Illustrated. Who the hell reads Sports Illustrated these days except for the swimsuit edition? I mean, most guys I know, they don't. But the reality is Sports Illustrated has some really good content. And this particular one, it's not left-leaning, it's not right-leaning, it's not any leaning. This tells the facts. You're talking about supporting legislation being Cori Dion Goff against kids that are from 5 years of age to 9 years of age. And by the way, SI picked that story up from Reuters. So it's not even an SI story. I found it on the SI site. But this is a Reuters issue. And Reuters typically, as I understand it, may be a little bit left-leaning, but they're supposed to be an international good source for news and other media. I am absolutely befuddled at how anybody can support anything from shaping a child's brain in something that, well, let's face it, is remarkably controversial. And again, I don't care if you're a member of this community or that community. And sure, you could speak about your own situation, but how are you going to sit there and teach a class about this kind of thing to children when they should be learning their ABCs, their 1, 2, 3s, learning how to read and write and all this other stuff? And why is it that kids don't even study or aren't being taught cursive anymore? I would love to know why them writing cursive or people writing cursive, just being able to sign your name. I mean, for Pete's sake, you got to be able to sign your name. Well, guess what? They're not even being taught how to write in cursive, and they're not even being taught how to tell time with an analog clock. Kids today, and I asked somebody who's a supporter of the show, Mr. who's a teacher down in Kentucky, I asked him, do the kids learn how to write cursive? He goes, no, we don't teach that. I said, what about, are they taught how to tell time with an analog clock? No, we don't teach that. Why do you teach it? Well, because that's the school protocol. That's the school district protocol. Not his protocol. It just happens to be that's what's going on in the world today. Apparently, teachers would rather teach about sexual orientation and put a spin on it, their spin on it, the school district spin, whatever, from ages 5 to 9, rather than teach them how to sign their name by writing cursive, teach them how to tell time with an analog clock. That's the way things are going, folks, and Trump is fixing everything. It is what it is, folks. Like him or not, life is getting a little bit more normalized in this administration. So you can put that in your pipe and smoke it, and I'll see you in 23 hours right here on your favorite station. So for all that opinion on Cori Dion Goff and Simone Biles and all those others, guess what? Here's my opinion of that. So long, everyone.
If I was your mother and you had a drug problem, I'd grab you by the ear and make you call and get help. You can be in treatment tomorrow and start to get clean in 7 days. Follow Mom's advice and call the Detox and Treatment Helpline now. Write this number down.
800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. That's 800-814-8628.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.